Welcome everyone, it's Great Shirt Guy, Rock the Great Shirt as always. It is the 25th of August. We're going to talk about some models we've painted and then touch upon a few other topics. But we have Dog. We have Leica. She is now 1 year old as of a couple days ago. So that's pretty good. She's a little sleepy. We took her to daycare today. We drop her off about once a week and she gets to play with a whole bunch of other dogs, gets to socialize, and she's really tired. So that's good. Is what it's doing. And all right, let's get into the models. So we finally got this Sisters of Battle squad done, and I'm pretty sure I built all the Sisters of Battle models for the most part before I moved here. I'm pretty sure I had them all built and assembled at my last house, and they've just been kind of waiting in the queue. But we're trudging our way through. To me, Sisters of Battle are an interesting model line to paint, but much like Cities of Sigmar, they're not fun to paint, if that makes sense. There's so much detail on each model. When they're finally done, they look gorgeous. But it's the process to getting to the finally done. And a lot of the color schemes that are official in the codex, in the rule books, in the art, look great, but they lack something. And so we've been embarked on this journey for a while now, where every squad, every unit in the army is painted after some either pop culture reference that my wife likes, or some other thing, some character in a show, or in this case, these are painted based upon the Taylor Swift Lovers album color palette. We got the yellows, we got the pinks, we got the light blues, a little bit of gold thrown in there. We got the white, and it's all kind of connected together on these lovely bases. These are resin bases, and I believe they're from Miniature Studios. Let me see. Let me look. I think I have them saved. Let's see. Micro Art Studio. They're Micro Art Studio bases. Not sponsored, but that's just where I got them from a while ago. Hopefully they still have them. I think these are the graveyard bases. I noticed something today that I did not do a dry brush of purple on the bases, which is what I've done for most of the other bases in the army that have been built so far. So at some point when I'm doing the next squad, when I'm dry brushing those, I'll pick these layers back and I'll dry brush them. If you notice, there are 11. The reason why is when you're building, back in the day when you were building a Sisters of Battle army, and even a little bit today, you want to get a certain number of Retributor models, and we were trying to make 2 full squads of any 1 heavy weapon when we first started building, because at the time you can only take 3 heavy weapon options, because we built this in 9th edition, and so you had the Castigator as one of your heavy weapon options, and then you had 2 squads of Retributors. And so we wanted the option of either having all 4 multi-meltas, all 4 flamers, or all 4 heavy bolters. And so what we ended up doing is buying enough boxes to make 8 of each, which left us a couple extra Sisters of Battle bodies. And so when we were kitting out the actual Sisters of Battle squads, because originally you could take 10 models. I think originally we only had 1 Sisters of Battle squad itself. But you can originally take 10 lady squads of Retributors, and so what we did, we would have 5 regular bolter sisters, and we didn't really have any any melta guns or do they have? I don't think Sisters of Battle take plasma guns in the regular squad. So I know they could have the option of melta or a flamer. I think the melta, flamer, or storm bolter. I know that, and that is the other kitty. She's very vocal, especially at night. But we. Yeah, so it kind of ended up the loadout this way, and so we have an 11th model, which it has a simulacrum, and it's just, if we want to take it, we can just swap out one of the bolter sisters and plop it right in there. We're probably always going to take the 1 storm bolter. I think you could take 2 special weapons now, but we have the option, since we have so many extra heavy weapon models that we're not going to be taking. Because you could take now as a full squad, you could take 3 Retributors now in 10th edition, and so we'd probably take 1 heavy bolter squad and 2 multi-melted squads, which would leave some more heavy bolters or heavy flamers, and so we can slap one of those into here, or have her mix and match however you want to mix and match. Maybe we could do one squad of heavy flamers, one squad of multi-meltas, and one squad of heavy bolters. We could figure out how we want to do that. But we could swap them in with those heavy weapons because we do have some extra overflow just to kind of boost the squad up a little bit. And yeah, so that's why we ended up with 11. I wanted to paint, so each unit in this army is painted after a different thing. These ones are painted after the Taylor Swift's Lover's Album color palette, which is the light blue, the purple, or the pink, the yellow, and the white. And there's a little bit of purple accent in there, but not a whole lot, just on the rosary beads. I do need to dry brush purple on the bases, just to kind of tie it in a little bit more with all the rest of the models in the army, because all the rest of the models in the army do have a little bit of purple dry brushed on their bases, so we'll add that the next time I do bases on the next squad. But this scheme took a long time, took well over 2 months to get this scheme done, and it wasn't 2 months of constant painting. It was just every time you'd slip a brush on the pink or slip a brush on the yellow, it would just be really frustrating. And then all the white details, because the Pro Acryl Titanium White does work very good when it wants to, but if it's a little bit too thinned coming out of the bottle and you don't shake it really good, you can end up with a slightly watered down. Or if you're using it in an airbrush and you add some paint thinner and then you have some extra white, you pour it back into the bottle, so you're mixing some paint thinner into your paint, so you're trying to save paint, you'll run into the situation where the white flows a little too thinly and it takes several coats. But I think it does work well with the white gloves and the white leather. Basically everything that's supposed to be leather is white, and I think it actually just kind of pops and adds that little bit extra to it. And then some very fine silver details, and I think they all work out pretty well. So this was my test paint model right here, and then these were all based upon afterwards. If you notice, the silver on this backpack is very well highlighted on the test model and a little bit less well highlighted on the other ones. But I think overall, from a squad, from like, you know, Arms Advantage, it looks really nice. So let's look at a couple more photos. Let's see. So we got the back. The mud texture was basically, as I'm painting the bases, because these are resin bases, as I'm painting them brown, and then the grays and everything, and then I would always splash a little bit up on the bottom of the cape. It just happens that way. So I just went hog wild with stippling on a base brush, and I would line the bottom browns. The problem is you paint everything really nicely, cleanly pink, or cleanly yellow with the pale yellow and the warm yellow. And then you end up having to mud the whole thing. And at that point, you're like, all right, cool, just mud it up. And it looks good after you do it. But while you're doing it, it looks a little suspect. But this is the first squad where almost all of it is Pro Acryl. I'm trying to think what isn't Pro Acryl on this, because the pink is, the yellow is, the blue is, the metal is actually Pro Acryl. It's their dark steel, or their dark metallic. The headstones are, the bases are not Pro Acryl. Well, the skulls are, but the headstones are Mechanica Standard Gray, and then it's the Mournfang Brown. Mostly just as as I go through, I want to sort of slowly get through all of my non-Pro Acryl paints and go through there. I have a bunch of Vallejo paints that I'm probably going to save for mostly just terrain, just to kind of work my way through them. Trying to incorporate as much Pro Acryl as I can as I move into that, but there are some things that I will not transfer over, like I don't like the coal black, and I don't like the satin black. I have to be really careful how I phrase that. But those are the two black colors that come in the Pro Acryl set right now. I think there are some darker blues and some darker grays and some darker greens that you could pass off as the black color, but it just doesn't fit. The dark range doesn't replace Abaddon black or Corax black. They just don't. And Vallejo's regular black, I'm not a fan of it. I don't know why. There's just something about it. I'm not a huge fan of either of those when it comes to just doing straight black details. On these ones, I did use the coal black on these models, and it's fine, but I'm not a huge fan of it. I think I'd rim the bases in Abaddon Black, just because like I had it right there and I'm running them. But that is the one color that I probably won't switch over to Pro Acryl. Amongst all the other stuff, I think that I'm just gonna keep sticking with Abaddon Black for Citadel for the longest time because it's the right, it feels right, it's the right hue, it's the right color. These are just some under a different light in my photo booth, taking a nice little gander at some of those, nice under a nice little light. And I think they look pretty good. So these ones, this is also one of the first armies that I've ever painted where I did not do an overall wash. I did wash all of the gold, but I didn't wash the metallics, and I recessed shadow pinned the pink, and I highlighted the pink, and I recessed shadowed the yellow. I did not highlight the yellow, and I left the blue as it is. I think on the test model I highlighted the blue. But the gold was pretty much the only thing that got like an overall wash, and the parchment on the simulacrum, but everything else is as it is. And I think it fits very well for these, but I still do like an overall wash for a lot of other models, a lot of other schemes. And obviously I did an overall wash on the bases. But yeah, we can zoom in. I didn't do the lenses on the Sergeant's eye. It was just it's such a small lens, and it's such a weird color with the pastel blue that I just kind of left it as is. But yeah, so that is where we're at. Well, so I also painted a Mantis Warrior command squad model, and if you look at my shorts, there is a video of the Mantis Warrior Command Squad model. I'll do a separate like studio update video with those pictures of those Mantis Warrior models later, whenever I get that whole squad done. Aside from that, we have... Oh, so what we're going to be doing next is we have the other 10-man, 11-man, 11-lady Sisters of Battle squad, and we are going to go with the Pro Acryl Orange and Pro Acryl Green for the color scheme. We're going to do orange for all of the capes and gloves and green for the armor. Maybe orange for the lenses as well. I'm not sure. I've worked with a lot of orange when I was in the Penal Legion, and this is a slightly different start, but I think it's going to look good with the green and the orange. And choosing just 2 colors as opposed to 3, I think will make the whole squad a lot faster. Because what we did before is we had yellow for the cape, and then pink for the armor, and then white for the gloves, and then blue for the gun. We're going to do cape and gloves orange, and we're going to do armor green, and then we're going to do probably bolt gun casing green and silver. So we're going to keep this color. We might do bolt gun casing on like the Sergeant. We might do that orange just for some fun. We'll figure out exactly what we're going to do with the bolt gun casing. But we're trying to keep it 2 main colors and everything else just accent colors with like blacks, silvers, golds, things like that. But just to kind of make it, because Sisters of Battle with the capes, it takes a long time to just kind of get through the capes, and I have to shoot probably through an airbrush the cape color, or I could do it with a brush, but it'd be faster with an airbrush. So I'll figure out how I want to do it. But and aside from that, we got we didn't get any models at Gen Con. We did order Thunderhawk, but we're not gonna really worry about that right now. Aside from there was 2 broken parts on it, so I contacted GW. They're already sending me the replacements. They should be here next month. It takes about 20 days or so. But I did order the Thunderhawk. I'm probably going to use it for Atlantean Spears, probably, because the other option is Blood Ravens, and I'm not sure if I want Blood Ravens to be my like. it, see, because I'm always torn because I had the Astraeus for the Atlantean Spears, and I think this would look cool as Atlantean Spears. It would obviously look really cool as Blood Ravens, but I think Atlantean Spears is more unique, and so I'll probably end up doing it with that. So we picked up Vashdor a while ago, and I'm slowly going to start working on Chaos Space Marines after I get through these sisters. I believe that's kind of where I'm going next. I will be doing the Mantis Warriors periodically as I go through, but Mantis Warriors are kind of like a palate cleanser, but I want to get Chaos Space Marines kind of on the table. And so we had Vashdor, we picked him up, and then we just were kind of waiting for a while, and we got 3 Defilers. So if you've ever watched the channel for a while, I've kit bashed 2 Defilers. I made one out of 2 Maulerfiend kits. It's like 2-headed dragon thing with battle cannon coming out of the mouth. It was supposed to be Nurgle back when I was doing pink Nurgle. The pustules and all of the green stuff on it didn't really come out very well, and I wasn't a huge fan of just like how that kit bashed Defiler looked. And I like the campy original Defiler. I just like the Crab Walker. I think it looks hilarious. I think it fits in Chaos Space Marine Saturday morning cartoon villain. And so we ended up getting, when these came back in stock, we ended up snagging 3 of them. So we have 3, which you can take up to 3. And the plan is I was trying to figure out if I wanted to do them, because I have World Eaters, Death Guard, and Chaos Space Marines. I was trying to think if I wanted to do one aligned Nurgle, one aligned Khorne, one aligned with the 8-bound powers. And I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. And then I remembered I had Vashdor, and I was like, wait a minute. And I was going to paint Vashdor basically what's on the box cover, like with the amber and the pallid skin and everything. And then I was like, wait a minute, why don't I just paint all of my demon engines moving forward the same armor color as Vashdor, whichever one I end up picking. And because like Vashdor leads all the demon engines, and I think that is a great idea. So what we're going to be doing is all 3 Defilers I don't know if magnetization on the Defiler is easy or not. It's an old kit, I'm not sure, but it'll probably be, we'll definitely do autocannon. I know the rules say you can take a twin las cannon and a twin battle cannon, but those aren't in the kit, and I don't want to kit bash those, because now theoretically, if they ever redo the Defiler kit, which I think they could, I think they should, I think if we ever get another refresh in 11th edition or so, the Defiler is prime for a redo. Him and the Soul Grinder could be a combined single kit. You could sell it for an extra $30. But I feel like if they ever included the las cannon in those, that would be cool, but they're not in here, and they were probably in an accessory sprue at some point. But I'm not going to take the twin las cannons or the twin heavy bolters. I'm just going to take the auto cannons. You could take the Flamer or the Havoc Launcher or the Scourge. I'll probably take the Scourge in all 3 of them, just because like the melee extra attacks works pretty good, versus the Heavy Flamer or the Havoc Launcher. But if I could magnetize them, I will, and we'll see how that works. But we're gonna make them based upon Vashdor, so I think that will look cool. So that is mostly it for 40K news. It's been a few weeks, and shortly after I came back from Gen Con. So my cat Onyx, which you've seen in previous videos, he was diagnosed with kidney disease about November of last year, so 8 months ago or so, and we put him on a special diet, and he was old. He was somewhere between 15 and 16, because when I got him, he had been in the shelter for over 2 years, which means that he wasn't a kitten when he was surrendered to the shelter. So I only ever knew that he was 2 years old when I adopted him. And so I had him for 13 years. And so we always just assumed and told the vet that he was 15, but I do believe that he was probably closer to 16. But I never got, and none of the documentation I got when I adopted him showed like his birthday. But either way, so he got stage 1 kidney disease, and also he was old. He had lived a pretty good life, and before we left for Gen Con, he was he had spent the last several months, like when we got his diagnosis, we brought him to the vet because it was his normal checkup, but he was also being less mobile, and he wasn't eating as much. He was sleeping in one spot most of the day. He would have his good days and his bad days, and then he started having accidents outside the litter box. And a lot of this kind of started shortly after a Pomeranian died. He was never a huge fan of the Pomeranian, but the Pomeranian wasn't really a dog. It was more of like an old lady in like a dog outfit. Hi. You want to come up here? Well, this is Lily. She's not a friend. She's a friend, but she doesn't like. She only likes to be. She likes to jump up on your lap, but she doesn't like to be. She's very fickle. But anyways, well, back to Onyx. So he was having some trouble, and it was just kind of progressing worse. And like on the scale of when it's kind of like a ruler. So on like the scale of like when you first get your kidney disease diagnosis and you're over here and like your quality of life's pretty good, but like as you get closer to the end like of a natural death, you have like a lot of problems. You don't really want to move around a lot. You don't eat a lot. You lose a lot of weight. And so he was very bony and he was very skinny. And it was getting sad. He used to sit in the window and he used to watch the birds. He used to do all that. And even when so after a Pomeranian died, we ended up getting a Border Collie, but we had to put up a baby gate to prevent the Border Collie from just running up and being upstairs. Because this was like shortly after we got the Border Collie is when we found out that Onyx had kidney disease, and it was just like new puppy, new diet, new everything. And the new diet worked for quite a while. He was very, very excited to eat the new diet, but ultimately he wasn't eating as much and he was not using the litter box. And when we came back from Gen Con, he was making accidents like every single day. He would still be purry. He would still like be himself, but on the scale of like how well he is doing as like a cat, he was degrading. He probably would have had another, I don't know, like say 3 to 6 months of like good life, like where he was still like happy, but each day he was gonna get worse. And I've had a lot of animals throughout my life growing up. Like my family had always had a lot of cats, a lot of dogs. This is the first pet that I've ever had to be in the room when it was put down. And it's hard because like I got him when he was like 2 or 3, so I would probably say around 3. And he lived with me for about 2.5 years, and then he lived on the parents' farm because I wasn't just gonna give him away. So I brought him home. I drove him all the way across America, brought him to my parents' farm. He lived on the farm for about 5-6 years. It's somewhere between 5 and 6, because I was overseas for a lot of that time, and I wasn't able to take him with me. And I came back to the States. I was going to pick him up, but then I had to go back overseas again. And so I went, and I was back and forth doing a lot of travel. And finally, I was in a stable position, and I went to pick him up to take him home. And my mother had been through a plethora of cats. Onyx was still around. She was still taking care of him. But a lot of the cats growing up, we would lose. Mostly cats would just get old. Like we had Tilly, she was like a really old fluffball cat, and one day she just left the house, went under a truck, and then just died. It was her time. She was very old. She more died of natural causes, and but some of the cats that were at the farm were killed by dogs. And like my parents, not just my mom, but my parents have had a bunch of different dogs over the years. Some service animals, some not, some just kind of like pets. And she had 2 mastiffs at one point in time. And one of the mastiffs had died really early. He was only like 5 or 6. He was not very old, somewhere between 5 and 8, somewhere around there. I only knew these dogs when I would come home. And so like, I didn't grow up with these dogs, but I knew them. And the mastiff there was two. There was the mother and then the son, because he was the one that was left over from one of her litters. I think they only had that one female only had the one litter, and the male dog died. The one lady, she was, well, I think at the time, no, actually, I think Eeyore was still around. He might have still been around this time, but either way, baby was starting to degrade, and she was getting a little bit older, and she was also very territorial and very protective, and she didn't like the cats. And so some of the cats, when Onyx was at the farm, some of the cats were mauled by the dogs. And so Onyx was always just like, he was scrappy though. He'd fight back. He was the only one that ever fought back and survived. He gave the dogs a good deep thrashing, and they left him alone. But he had pretty much free reign of the farm. Yeah. So, but he was starting to go. I could have kept him around for a little bit longer. He would have been sitting there on the bed or on the floor, but it was a good time for him to go before it got really bad. So I'm not. There were some days where I was very upset and very worried, and like you think like did I send him away too early? Did he die too early? Did I put him down too early? And I don't believe so. And I know, talking to the vet, so we had called, we were home, we had just got back from Gen Con, we found a bunch of mess everywhere, and although he was still his normal like grumpy self, he was still very bony. He didn't want to eat his food. I had to bring his food to him. He didn't want to drink his water. We called the vet and said, well, when will we know it's time? And she's like, well, based upon what you're telling me, like he could go now. And like it was always my choice, and I think it was mostly his choice though. So the big downside though is when I brought him to the vet, it was. So they say when old people are about to die, they get a burst of energy. He kind of had a weird burst of energy, and it was a little bit upsetting. Kitty. So Lily has only ever known Onyx for like 5+ years. Like they were always hanging out together. And here comes the border collie. Yeah, you guys having a moment? Leica loves Lily. Lily does not enjoy Leica very much. L&L surrounded. But yeah, so rambling. But we put him down. It was a Friday. I was actually supposed to go to work that Friday, but I still had a lot of vacation days, so I just called my boss and I was like, hey, is it okay if I just extend one more vacation day through Friday and come back to work on Monday? And he was like, yeah, sure, no problem. And then we called the vet on Thursday, just kind of asked, like, what should we do? And my initial thought was actually I was going to wait another week. But we were like, well, you're not at work this week. You're home. It's not going to get better. Just like hang around for a couple more days, and then like also, do you want to go to work just so you can leave work to go put your cat down on a Friday? And I was like, no, not really, actually. So we made the decision. We called Monday morning, and they said bring him in at 10, and we just kind of like spent that Thursday night just like giving him as much as we could. Gave him more of his wet food, his kidney wet food. He ate like a fourth of it. We gave him as many treats as he would. We gave him a few treats as much as he would. I gave him plenty of cuddles, plenty of lap time. I basically just like sat here and just like played. I don't know if I played any video games or not, but I just kind of like just sat here and hung out with him because like on my lap was like his favorite place to be. At least his favorite place to be now. His favorite place used to be on top of the cat tower. His favorite place used to be watching the birds. For the majority of the time I had him, he was not a cuddly, affectionate cat. It was only in the last few years where he really got affectionate, which is kind of sad because like I wanted him to be affectionate from like the day I got him, but he would butt heads. He was when I adopted him, they were like he doesn't like kids, he doesn't like pets, he doesn't like anything, and I was like I don't have any of those things. Cool, it works out for me. But we still fought. We still butt heads for probably like the first 2 years that he lived with me, and he would slowly accept me. And then in his last like 3 years, he was just always hanging out with me, always wanting to be on my lap, always wanting me to pet him right here in the nose. Well, anyways, so yeah. Needless to say, we won't be seeing him anymore. But what I wanted to say is, let me show you just a few things. Hold on. So this is a collage of some photos that we picked up over the time. I think all of these are here in this house. Yeah, it's just a nice little guy. It's like used to sit on the couch and this little void. And like this is how I choose to remember him because this is before it was getting bad. He was a handsome boy and he wasn't loud. The only time he ever really was loud is like initially in the car. But he would like come up and he would cuddle and he would be really nice. And he was just a chill cat that didn't like to be bothered. But Lily was like the only thing that he like accepted, and you could see in his like face, like he's like, oh, she's there, isn't she? Yeah, I'm gonna miss this old guy. Let's see, I got a few more. So this is when he was at the farm. So this is like when he was in his prime, when he was anywhere from like between 5 and 10. Like he was an indoor cat when he was with me. When he was living with my parents, he was definitely an indoor outdoor cat. And yeah, he would go out and like so like my dad never let him sit on his lap, but he would sit next to him and watch movies with him. And I always thought that was funny because they would send me pictures when I was overseas. And yeah, so like he is a little friend, and this is him just like walking, taking over the farm in the fall. I don't know when this picture was taken, but it was definitely sometime between when he was 5 and 10. So, and he always had a little bald spot right here, and yeah, so that's the kitty. This is me holding his paw, as you know they did all the things and. So, like, I don't know if you've never done this, if you never had to put down a cat, at least with mine, they always say we're going to put the animal to sleep. That's like a thing they say we're going to put the animal under and put the animal to sleep. And because what they do is you go to the vet, you're in a room, typically you're by yourself or with just like your party, and then you get some time to just kind of be with the animal. This is if it's a pre-planned one. And they give them something to like make them like go to sleep, like calm down and be really tired. And I thought his eyes were going to be closed. The problem is the medication kind of like makes all the muscles relax, and so the eyes stay open. And like that was hard. That was really hard. And yeah, so his eyes were open the whole time. And they took him back. They gave him a little IV. They took him back, and then they brought him back in, and he was just like, just there. And then I was holding onto his paw, and I was giving him pets. I know he was okay. He was a good boy. And yeah, and then they gave him the last injection, and it was very quick. Like after the last injection, he was I think at his height and weight, he was around like 14, 15 pounds, but like he was less than 10 um, when we went in there. And because he had lost so much weight, and like you could tell. And I don't think he had I don't think for like the last year he had even like taken care of his claws like on the scratch mat or anything. But yeah, so it was very quick, but his eyes were open the whole time, and so like I was like, um, I don't have like a lot of friends. I mean, my wife is my best friend. I have one other really good friend, um, and then aside from that, I don't have a lot of friends, which is fine. I don't need a ton of friends, but I do spend a lot of time on like the Warhammer community on the Facebook groups and everything, and in some of the Discords. Not a lot of the Discords, most just because I don't have memberships to all of them. A lot of the places, especially on YouTube, you either need to be a member or part of their Patreon or something to get access to Discord. But I'm on a few Discords that you don't need to. So, but mostly just the Warhammer stuff on the Reddits and on the different Facebook groups. So but yeah, like I reached out and I let them know, and like, so some of the Facebook groups, if you're not staying on topic with like if it's like a Warhammer group, if you don't stay on like specific topic, um, then like you don't really want to post like non-topic stuff. But there's one Facebook group, and I don't know if it ever had any controversy. I'm not sure. Maybe it did. Maybe it does. Some of them are a little like um, more PC than the others. But anyway, I posted on the Imperium of Man on the 8th of August. I posted that Onyx is passing through to meet the Emperor this morning. He was diagnosed with kidney disease last November and has been on a special diet since. But he's lost a bunch of weight and isn't moving around much anymore and having accidents. So we're giving him a peaceful send-off before he degrades any further. And then I had to edit. He has passed now, eyes open the entire time, never leaving his post once, a true warrior. And then I said, he found me 13 years ago. I was in a bad place. I went to a shelter and he was all alone in his own cage. They told me he had been there for over 2 years. He didn't like other cats or kids, and I hadn't either. So he fought in the early days, but as the days progressed, he would sleep closer and closer to me. The last 3 years, he cuddled up to me until I fell asleep. I held his paw until the end. And then another edit. He's home now. I ordered a plaque for his box. He'll go up on the shelf next to our recently passed Pomeranian. And so I posted this on the 8th of August, and it has over 964 reactions. Let's see, are there any more photos? Yeah, okay. It has over 964 reactions, and some of the nicest comments, guys. Fuck. 129 comments already. I mean, I know it's like it's probably, the post is probably not really going to get any more. It's kind of like, oh, I waited a little bit. But like, so many people being really nice. Yeah, they're being really nice. Like sharing pictures of their cats, and their dogs, and like some salamander stuff. I don't even like. I mean, I like salamanders, but like I don't have any. But like everyone's so nice. It's really helped. I don't know who's going to see this far into this video. Like, it's probably going to get like 3 views. It's fine. But I just want to say thank you to like all the people that were just like so damn nice to me about the situation. I don't even remember. There's like I like was like care reacting everything I saw. I just saw one that I must have missed. It's like a cat like laying on its back with his like toe beans, and some guy's like, please enjoy this Battle Brothers toes. And I did not see this one before. That's kind of funny. But like everyone's like super nice. The problem is I wanted to save some of his fluff to like put in. So we just got a new tree in. I wanted to bury some of his fur under the tree. But like in the whole process of just being there, I just didn't have the energy to like ask for like some of it. And I was trying to like find some around the house, but I really couldn't find any because like he didn't shed a lot of hair for being a short hair. But we got him home, and they did a little paw print, and they did this is his little box, and it has this little plaque. And so I had like I went on Amazon, because Amazon I've ordered like engraved plaques before. Let's see, let's show the next picture. So I ordered this one for him, and it never shipped. So like it never shipped, and so it was supposed to be here last week. I went on the seller's website. I went on the page, and I requested a refund today. And after that's all done and sorted out, I just found I'm gonna look for some other some company not on Amazon. Just find some other plaque company because it's not a big box. It's like, so I'm looking for a 2x4 inch plaque. So it's the same, basically the same thing. The Fallen are forever remembered as the Emperor's finest, because he was. So like, my mom made a post about him because like she was with him for a long time. That was nice. And like some family friends, they drew some art. So some family friends, they did some little art sketches of him. And like my mother-in-law, she sent a card. It was nice of her. Like, I didn't expect to get a card in the mail, so it's nice. Obviously, the vet office, they sent a card too. And so he's on that special kidney food diet, which is wet food. And I was like, what do I do with the rest of this food? Because like, do I donate it? And like, because like, I didn't really need to give it to our other cat. She doesn't really need the special kidney food. But apparently, I could bring it back to the vet office, and they'll give me like a credit because I ordered it through. It's through like the Hills Science Diet, but like it's through the vet office. But like, yeah. I don't know what else is on here. They definitely drew me a little kitty. I don't know. I didn't know if they were like scribbling on here. Oh, I think I know what it is. So like the kids that drew this, one of the family friends, they lost their cat like 6 months ago, something like that, like almost a year ago. And so I think this is the two cats. So, but yeah, it's like, it was really nice. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. But anyways, that's kind of it. That's kind of it. That's my Monday. Apologies that it ends this way, but I figured you should all find out, because like Onyx was a part of the channel. He was a huge part, but he would show up in videos all the time, but he's not going to be hanging around anymore. Am I going to get another cat? I don't think so. I don't know. My lovely wife tried to. So for a long time, I wanted a Maine Coon, but there's so much work, and like they can get huge or they can just be a normal size. And we were already having problems with like the litter boxes that we had. Like Lily is kind of a little chunky cat, and she was having trouble fitting in the doors, in the opening. But she's figured it out since then. And yeah, she's sad, but she's eating well, and she's drinking well, and she's using litter box, and she's just, I think she's bored a little bit. So I meant to actually go get her a wand because she likes chasing the laser pointers. The problem is so does the border collie, and you can get a laser pointer syndrome if the border collie chases lasers too much, or even apparently once. Apparently, if it happens once, it'll ruin your border collie. But I shined a laser pointer for the border collie once. I think she's forgotten it existed, or she's never seen it again, so she's kind of like not worried about it. But Lily loves the laser pointer, but I wanted to get like a wand toy so her and I can play more. Because like I never really expected to get Lily. She kind of just was like a package deal. Because like my mom had Onyx because the other cats had died, and then she got Lily just because she wanted a cat. But then Lily and Onyx hung out a lot, and so like when I picked up Onyx, I had to get Lily, and so like Lily was kind of a package like cat. She was like an add-on. But ever like in the last 2 weeks, she's been like super cuddly, and like I know she's sad, but she's helping, and she sleeps on my pillow. So, but anyways, as far as Warhammer is concerned, Nova's this weekend. I won't be going to Nova. I've already spent too much money on Warhammer this year, and I haven't played 10th edition really, so I wouldn't even know how to play the game. So we won't be going to Nova. I'll just be working on painting some more models. Hopefully I can get a whole nother squad done. Maybe get these green and orange slapped on some models, and then spend the 4-day weekend trying to get more sisters knocked out. Because after I get this next sister battle squad, we still have a lot of infantry to get on, but we're on kind of more of the fun stuff, so that'll be good. Yeah. Anyway, it's been a long video. I don't think anyone's gonna really watch the end, but I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'll see you around next time. Oh, I did get Dawn of War Definitive Edition. I was gonna play it today, but I decided to do this instead. Anyways, I hope you guys have a good one, and I will see you around. If you have a cat story to share, let me know. Love you. I guess I do love you all. Goodbye.